Yo, what's going on, Game Leapers? This is Eeks. Today's video, mate, we're going to be going through the 3 most broken champs for each role for patch 13.3. Now, I'm not sure if you guys saw, but Annie and Aurelion Sol, both of these two champions have been hotfix nerfed, and those nerfs are live right now. So, will they actually feature in this video? We'll have to wait and see. And guys, if you do want to master any of the champions we mention, and if you do master them because they're so broken, you will have an unreal chance of actual climbing and winning, right? So all you have to do is click on one of those links in the description to our website at GameLeap.com. We also have 50% off at the moment. That's because Valentine's Day is just around the corner. So if you guys want to surprise that special someone in your life, then you guys can check out the website in the description and comment section. Not sure what that noise was, but yeah, let's get into the 3 most broken champs each role. Now we'll start in the top lane, and honestly, nothing is changing here, guys. We've got Darius at number 3. If you guys want to play the ultimate punishing champion, Darius is number 1. Give that axe a swing. GG top lane. But seriously though, ever since like 12.10, the durability meta hit, Darius has been frothing it. The longer team fights, also the teleport situation getting kind of like nerfed last season during the laning phase because it's a longer cooldown, means a champion like Darius when you're going Flash and Ghost is even better during the first 15 minutes of the lane. So Darius is number 3. Now number 2, a champion who beats Darius and the number 1 champion on this countdown, this is Jayce. And because of the buff to his base attack damage, also to his Q and W melee form damage, this has pushed Jayce into very OP territory. On top of this, we also have the Eclipse buff for Jayce, because it's no longer giving you Omnivamp, but what it is giving you is ability haste, right? And Jayce, your abilities, everything. So Jayce number 2, just be careful guys about getting too close to the enemy champion, because that's where you can die. But the best top laner for another patch, this is going to continue to be Jax, the hockey stick mate. You lock this guy in, you probably do have to ban something like Jayce or maybe Gragas, because both of these champions like are very difficult to play against. Like Gragas, for example, if you leap strike in, all he has to do is body slam and it interrupts it. Also, Gragas can build Frozen Heart. Jayce as well, as soon as you jump in, he just disengages with his melee form E and you run off with your hockey stick between your legs. But regardless, this champion, ever since Riot changed him at the start of the season, right, where they change your ultimate and also your auto attack, well, your empowered auto attack once you hit level 6 to proc every 2 auto attacks, not 3. This means your level 6 spike is huge now, and Jax being such a good late game champion, his early game getting buffs like these, they have solidified him as the number 1 top laner for another patch. Now moving into the jungle, we actually have a new addition here, guys. So first of all, we have Udyr, right, coming in at number 3. So if you guys want to continue to abuse that like demonic embrace rush strategy on AP champions, Udyr is the 2nd best to do it on. Now he's the 3rd best jungler on this list, yes, but he is one of 2 champions who does this, right? So Phoenix Stands Armax Udyr is still one of the most obnoxious but successful junglers on the Rift. Now next up, we have a champion who got buffed in 13.3, this being Blue Kayn. And I know this might be like hard to understand because Kayn's win rate, you know, on the stats websites isn't actually like too red hot, but if you can filter it so you can actually see Blue Kayn's stats, he has like a 54% win rate in platinum and above. And the big reason, like I mentioned, is because of the buffs, right? So the fact that you're passive, you're getting more damage from your actual Shadow Assassin form, and also your Q's damage is scaling more of your bonus attack damage ratio. They didn't even change the base damage of this, which is huge for Kayn, so you're still going to have the same like kind of spike power when you actually get your Shadow Assassin form, but you're scaling better into a game now. So whether you're going something like Prowler's Claw, Muramana, so whether you're going something like Prowler's Claw, Mana Moon, Ghostblade, anything like that with a bit of lethality, you're going to be one-shotting people more than you ever have been. And this is why Blue Kayn's win rate has actually skyrocketed, so I'd highly recommend picking this champion, guys. Just probably think a little bit in champ select, like if you're against a very bruisery, kind of close range team, Blue Kayn might struggle, but if you're against a bunch of ranged champions and your team has a lot of CC, you can absolutely thrive. Now, the number 1 jungler, undisputed, is Maokai. Why he's not getting nerfed, I have no idea. Like, I like how Annie and Aurelion Sol got nerfed for having like crazy win rates. I mean, Annie's is like 56%, but Aurelion Sol's is like 51, 52%, Maokai's is like 54%, and it's been that even though he got nerfed in this patch, and even though Demonic Embrace, Radiant Virtue have been nerfed, well, Radiant Virtue, you don't have to go, of course, but Maokai with Demonic Embrace is still proving to be the number 1 jungler. He's got at least a 50% ban rate and most elos as well. The champion is Giga OP, and that's why he's number 1. Now heading down to the mid lane, if you guys want to play an attack damage mid laner, this has to be Aurelia. And I think because there are lots of like AP junglers at the moment, so if you think about stuff like Maokai, Echo, Evelynn, Elise, right, Udyr, all of these champions are pretty popular, so therefore having an attack damage mid laner is really good. Also, if you're against a lot of AP, so if the enemy mid and jungle is AP, as Aurelia, you can just get Mercury Treads and you will become unkillable, especially when you go something like Shield Bearer and Wits End afterwards, like just get me out. It's impossible to play against. And she is just strong at the moment. The stats back that up, so Aurelia is number 3. Now number 2, this is Ryze. And I know Ryze's win rate in solo queue, right? The stats probably won't back him up, but the truth is this champion is actually just, well, he doesn't really have many counters during the laning phase. For sure, stuff like Cassiopeia, even Aurelia might do well, right? But on the whole, this champion is just innately strong. Because of all the buffs that are coming in recent times to Ryze himself, and also to his items, so like Rod of Ages and Seros Embrace, the champion is performing well, and he's picked and banned in pro play at the moment, and because there are no real nerfs in 13.3 to the champ, nor his actual setup, Ryze has to be number 2. But these two, Ryze and Aurelia, are beaten to the number 1 position, guys. If you want to play a magic damage champ in the mid lane, Annie has to be the choice. I don't know who gave her all these steroids, but legit, she's probably the most overtuned champion I have seen in ages. The fact that Tibbers is like the unkillable Demon King now, he's pretty much Thanos with a maxed out Infinity Gauntlet, and also the fact you start the game with your passive proc, right? So you've got the stun ready, invades are really deadly. Also, just your level 1 in lane is pretty hard to contest, right? Because all you have to do is like auto attack Q and auto attack, and the enemy mid laner is going to lose half their HP. Probably not half their HP, but you catch my drift. And then we also have to consider the fact that your E is actually an ability now. That even though the hotfix nerfs came in, right, where they're nerfing your E, honestly, like, who cares? Legit. You're still getting more AP ratio from it than you were before, so like a 5% increase in total. And even if your E is costing a little bit more mana, even if you're losing a bit more armor per level, does this really matter? It might affect you in the bot lane, so if you're playing any support, it might affect you a little bit. Playing against champions like Aurelia and AD mid laners for sure, but seriously, her win rate is still going to be like at least 55%. So Annie, guys, is number 1. And let me know in the comments what you think of Annie at the moment, and Aurelion Sol as well, who was close to making the list, but the nerfs that came in I think are going to be a bit too big. In the bot lane, starting off at number 3, we have Zeri, and you guys are going to be scratching your heads. Like, I can just feel it. I can feel it, bro. Because in lower elos, yeah, this champion doesn't actually do that well, but play against a good Zeri player with like a Lulu or Yuumi next to her. I don't care what elo you're in, bro. This champion, when they actually played well, is very difficult to deal with. For sure, she might have some like hard lanes and stuff, but again, if you can navigate out of the laning phase, I don't actually know if there's a better mid to late game AD carry than this champion. Now, like I said, it probably is support conditioned here, so if you have a Lulu, a Zilean, a Yuumi on top of you, that's probably why you're going to be on this list. If you have anything else next to you, you will become a little bit weaker, right? But Zeri is number 3. Let me know what you think of that choice, guys, in the comment section. Now, coming in at number 2 is Caitlyn. Because you're getting Infinity Edge as your second major item now, right? The actual 40% spike, that has accelerated your power, right? Caitlyn really spiked at 3 items before. Yes, your early game is very strong, and it still is, right? The laning phase, whether you're taking lethal tempo into close range matchups, weak footwork into poke matchups, you're going to still get out of the laning phase, of course, and most likely with a lead. But the great thing is you're actually dealing significant damage earlier, especially with your passive, right? Your headshots, the fact that you can actually make use of the extra crit now earlier in a game is huge for Kate. That's why she's number 2. But the number 1 AD carry, I kind of mentioned in our 15 most broken champions video recently, this is kind of surprising, but honestly, like, not really when we really think about it. So for Xayah, the number 1 ADC, the reason you're so good, the recent buffs, right, to your base attack speed, and then if we think about Nova Warrior quick blades, so exactly like Infinity Edge, right, the actual passive proccing or 40% crit, this is insane for Xayah. Like, your cooldowns are actually going down now because of all that ability haze, so your blade cooler, you can actually use more, your W and your Q, same thing, and your ultimate as well. It's not going to be on such a long cooldown in the mid to late game once you do actually get Navori, which will probably be from like what, level 11 onwards is pretty fair. So for Xayah at the moment, it's an unreal patch, and honestly, I can see her getting nerfed, guys. Like, seriously, if there was pro play at the moment on 13.3, she would 100% be getting picked and banned. So seriously, start abusing her for that free LP in your games. She's pretty difficult as well to counter at the moment just because she's so strong. So Xayah is number 1. Now, obviously, the role attached to the bot lane and the last role in this video, these are the supports, guys. And kind of exciting here, honestly, because these 3 champions, like, we haven't seen this pattern, or I guess trio, yeah, for ages, because I've been talking about Nami, Sona, like Soraka, Lulu for God knows how long now, right? But 13.3 has changed things. Nautilus is number 3. You're getting more damage from your passive. Your W also got buffed and your E is dealing more damage, meaning that when you land your Q, that enemy champion has a much higher chance of dying, and that's why Nautilus, especially in higher reloads, has like a 53% win rate. This dude's been hanging around like, I don't know, 49% for ages. Like, I swear for like a whole year he's been around that win rate. These buffs have pushed him into OP territory, and that's why he's number 3. Number 2 is another champion who got buffed this patch, this being Rakan. The fact that your Q is actually an ability now, thank goodness for that, right? You can actually heal your AD carry for more, especially when you start getting like Shurelias and Chemtech Putrefy, right? The actual AP ratio on your Q, because it got buffed, you can make use of this. Also, the same goes for your W, right? You're getting more damage from this, so when you actually do land your W, that is even more significant. Exactly like Nautilus, right? Landing his Q, because you've got more damage in your kit, Rakan is even better. You're an amazing champion as well, honestly, as a support. You can engage, you can peel really well because of your ultimate and your W. Just make sure, guys, if you are playing Rakan, if you have your ultimate and W available and your flash, think about flashing in with your ultimate, and then that guarantees your W, right? Just be aware if they do have cleanse or flashes or gale force, something like this, because you might get baited. Brokan, awesome versatile support. Definitely have him in your champion pool as a blind pick or counter pick even. And yes, he's number 2. But the number 1 support, guys, well, funnily enough, we've actually mentioned this champion already. Who could it be? Is it going to be Udyr? Is it going to be Jax? Jace? What about Caitlyn? No, this is Annie. And the reason I say it like that is because, yeah, it's kind of obvious, right? I even mentioned it earlier. Like, if you're playing Annie in the bot lane, bro, with your passive stacked early on, Tibbers, your level 6 spike, like, it's so hard to go Nero. Like, that's the issue. Even if you're playing an engaged support, Annie's almost like a Zyra in a way. All you have to do is press your ultimate and they die. Kind of like Brand as well in that respect. But yeah, you've got 100% guaranteed stun, right? So as soon as you flash W onto someone, and remember, that's going to be quicker, by the way, instead of flash queuing, they're going to die if your jungler's there, right? The gank setup, the actual lane potential and kill threat you have, it's way too much. That's why Annie's the number 1 support and mid laner. So guys, those are the 3 best champions for each role in 13.3. Let me know in the comment section what you actually think of these updated champions. And if you did enjoy the video, guys, remember to leave a like down below. And until our next Season 13 upload, this has been a Phoenix Peace.